I got them. Thank you.
Oh, good. Okay.
Emily,
Yes.
did that make sense what I was saying about the facilitator?
Yeah. Yeah.
It just sounded like there were more than enough.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give other people a chance because for me, it's a lot like just teaching, you know, so I wanted to give them a chance if they really want to do it. So,
yeah. And that'll be just fine. I appreciated you letting me know. And so I'm just waiting to hear from Jolie and
okay.
Lee.
All right. And you saw I signed up for that for that time slot. So I'll be there. So whatever works.
Okay. Very good.
If my memory, are you the one running the meeting today?
Yeah.
Okay. You are live and you have a quorum. So you can call the meeting to order when you're ready.
Okay, well then I call the meeting to order. First on the agenda, we have the review of the October minutes, which Emily just sent out. So if anyone sees any changes to those. Might need some help today. My first time doing it.
Yeah. Thanks for stepping up.
Yeah,
That's
of
awesome.
course. Okay, I guess if there are no changes then we need a motion to approve them, right?
All right, I think we're all reading them. That's
okay.
again, in the October minutes, it says next meeting is December.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
I'll change that.
Other than that, I don't see anything.
So someone have a motion?
I'll move to accept the minutes with the changes recommended.
I'll second.
Would you guys mind saying names so I can see who it is?
Sorry.
Yeah, Justin White.
Okay, thank you. And
Carol Bell. Carol Bell.
Thanks, Carol.
Sure.
All right, then next we have the mayor's report.
We got to vote. We need to vote. In favor.
All in favor.
Favor.
Okay, so passed. Good.
Okay, so then now the mayor's report.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
I have no report. It's good to see everybody. Hope everybody's ready to enjoy this beautiful weekend coming up. Looking forward to the beginning of the community read event on Monday. Picked up my book the other day, started reading. It's already very interesting, so I look forward to a interesting community discussion about that book. Appreciate all the work you've done to put that together.
All right then. Sorry, I'm trying to invite Anthony. Texted that he couldn't find the link, so I'm also trying to invite him to it.
I just admitted him, Ellie.
Okay, great. Thank you. So next we have the housing report from Matt.
Okay, thank you. Just have one landlord tenant issued a report, and it was based off of housing condition. That was referred to the health department, and the health department was able to address the concerns the tenant had. That's one thing. The health department's always great about addressing any issues like that, as long as people do reach out to them. As with the housing programs, the only program we have funding available immediately for would be the down payment assistance program. As for the housing repair programs, we do have a waiting list for that. So if anyone knows anyone looking to purchase a home in Bowling Green, definitely let them know about the programs. And that's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so next we have the financial report, and I believe Kelly sent that out a few days ago. So
Yeah, there's been no change since your last meeting. So pending your questions.
great. So do we need a motion for that one too?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So discussion of recent events is next, open forum. So I'll put it out to anyone.
We had an election. We're still in it.
I think we're stuck.
Yeah. But for the right reasons, because democracy is
Absolutely.
playing out.
Yep.
So,
It's just not something we're used to.
yeah. I think it's noted. I think it's, I mean, from what I understand, there hasn't, I mean, it was a very smooth election here in Wood County. So I think that's notable. I don't know, maybe others have something to report other than, you know, what has been, we've heard in our media or in our social media or something, but it was very well run by the County Board of Elections here in Wood County. And
we didn't have any issues reported in BG.
yeah,
we had officers, they weren't actually at the sites, but they were in all the areas patrolling. We didn't have any issues reported.
One thing that someone made me aware of was that there were people walking around downtown with guns, openly carrying guns, and they thought that that was an intimidating factor. A common sentiment in the African American community recently was that people are afraid of retaliation if someone retaliation after we receive a winner of the election. And to my knowledge, I don't think we've received a winner. And so maybe that's just something that we could maybe think about. I don't know if we could release a statement, but people have told me in the years past and during this election, they just received threats and just not been feeling safe in town, in Walmart, in Meijer, in Kroger, because of certain things that they were experiencing. And so.
Anthony, you said somebody was walking downtown with guns. You mean here in BG?
Yeah, I was told that someone was walking around the downtown area, just like openly carrying guns. Obviously, that's something that people usually don't see in BG. So I guess they're attributing that to like the election and things. I've been told that people have been admired with Confederate flag coats and things of that nature.
Did they call us if they were concerned?
No, they didn't call. They just told me.
Okay.
And I'm just communicating that to you.
Well,
I don't believe that. I mean, obviously, the person with the gun didn't say anything, or they obviously weren't gonna stop and say anything to them. It's just something that I think we could be aware of. That these things are happening, and it's just a strange hiding time of fear for people in my community as we kind of watch things unfold in the election. So,
Okay, well, as far as if somebody is carrying a gun, Ohio's an open carry state, so they're allowed to carry. Actually, unless they're doing something that would be considered threatening in some manner, let's say they keep grabbing the gun or they're confronting people on the sidewalk, as a police officer, we can talk to them, but we have no legal justification to stop them from doing that. But if someone is carrying guns downtown again, or if someone is fearful or feels threatened, they can always give us a call, which most of the time, if somebody is carrying a gun downtown, we do receive numerous calls to at least look into it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the reports I've seen was like 2 people. Obviously, I've never seen anyone carrying a gun, openly carrying a gun downtown. But I mean that's something that I try to communicate to my community, and it's just still frankly something that they're kind of uncomfortable with at this time, which is something that maybe we can unpackage, during like another time. But it's a reality, it's the reality of the situation that we live in, me and my community live in right now, and we experience, and we want to make this community a welcoming community for all. And so, and I know some certain things we can't stop, right? So we can't stop someone carrying a gun. We can't stop someone wearing a Confederate flag coat or wearing Confederate flag hats, right? And making people feel uncomfortable. And so I think it's a multifaceted situation.
And while that's all true, I still like your idea about for HRC to possibly put out a statement, and like you said, it's not that the statement would have anything to do with what we can't have control of, but just something out there that there's an awareness. I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it a little bit, but I do like that thought.
Yeah, HRC, I think that would be great. I did get in contact with Adam Scaff, the police liaison, and we kind of had a discussion about it, and I just want to make him aware of it. And he said that he was thinking of making that the police department can make a maybe joint statement, and or something along those lines. But I think those things go a long way in just helping us feel more comfortable. I know a lot of Black people in this area are just not being going out. These past week, unfortunately now, because they haven't been going to any major stores in the town because they haven't been out at nighttime. They just don't know what's going to happen. So that's just something, it's just a reality. So maybe a statement will help. Maybe a video with someone talking, and then posting the video will help. But I think something would be appropriate in this moment.
Yeah, I agree.
And we are at something I did want to make you guys aware. I don't know if you're aware of, but Chris, he works in town at the dealership here, and he's had racist remarks. He has had people to yell at him and call him the N-word, in a car while he was at work outside. A couple of times now, unfortunately. He's had people to come in and say that they're not, going to buy a car from him. They're not going to buy a car from a Black man, in Bowling Green. Recently, a week ago. And so I think as a Human Relations Commission, I want us to be aware that, these things are unfortunately happening. And, what could we do together to kind of limit the resources or enhance the comfortability of people of color like in this town?
Ellie, if you don't mind me bringing up, normally around this time or even October, the HRC begins to talk about the Martin Luther King Day that occurs in January. Obviously, this year is a little bit different, and I'm guessing at least the first part of next year is going to be different too. I highly recommend that the HRC begin to talk about that and what you want to do for that event, if anything. I think it's certainly reasonable if the HRC didn't have an MLK event this year because of the circumstances, or you do something a little bit different, make it virtual or whatnot. But those discussions really need to be happening soon.
Yeah, for sure. Especially since we haven't done an honor roll in a while, I think it's time for us to look into doing the MLK event, or like awarding someone with that, or doing the honor roll or something, so people know that we're still out there in the community for sure.
I emailed David a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago, and told him that Brave would love to partner with HRC. Brave is actually an official nonprofit now in the state of Ohio, and we would love as a nonprofit to partner with HRC and to put on an MLK event. We think it's important that we begin to involve more people of color into the creation of events like an MLK event, right? And especially the youth community. We want to begin to involve the youth community here in more of the events. I have not received a response yet from David. And so I don't know if that's something that we could discuss, or if something that HRC would be interested in doing per se, or if that would look like. But we think that could be a good partnership for the community.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to say, I was thinking, like, obviously we can award a group or a person with the award. And I was thinking Brave would be a great candidate to put out there, but I didn't know if Anthony or I could put it out there because we both work with them. So someone else would probably have to nominate, but.
So is that what we're doing right now? Nominating for?
Well, hey, Joe, could you describe the MLK event for us?
Yeah.
So we have a sense of what it is we need to accomplish, and
Good idea.
we can get a to-do list and make decisions.
Sure. So normally it's at the library, which I'm guessing probably won't be allowed this year. That you have, the mayor typically makes an address or a welcome. You identify a keynote speaker. One of the more recent ones was a Tuskegee Airman, which drew a pretty decent crowd. And then you award the Drum Major for Peace Award, which is your major award of the year. And there's an application that's posted on the HRC's webpage that goes into detail about the type of person or organization and the criteria for filling out the form and awarding that award. I think there's generally the madrigals are there. There is somebody playing the piano. Sheila has sang in the past. I don't know if I can't recall if she did it the last time or not. I think she did, but.
Sheila Brown. Yeah.
Sheila Brown.
Yes.
So it's those types of things. I could send out a program from years past to, I guess, give you guys a better idea of what all occurs. But I think I'm going to encourage you to think maybe outside the box this year, because I'm not sure an in-person MLK event is a really good idea.
No.
Mm-hmm. So do you think you have a plan to do it on the Zoom, or do you think postpone it? Or one time I remember we had it in April, because of I think weather.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but this year is of course the coronavirus. So we plan need to do it, to have it at the city on through Zoom, or just postpone it or something to do in January, have to kind of show some, to me, just, some kind of, especially right now, it's very important to have it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree that I think we should definitely put something on. I think what Joe's just asking is, how do we do it? Do we want to do it on Zoom? Do we want to just put out a statement? Do we want to just award someone? So.
I mean, to me, even though we have, that the real actually in person, ceremony later on, but I should recognize the day, to have it on the Zoom, and everybody's now using the Zoom, so getting used to. So it's not like too much of the, kind of far away. To me, it's just, very well, kind of, I feel very, very much engaged in, I guess, because of so many, meetings and then everything, I mean, I'm on Zoom, so I'm got used to. So at least we can do the Zoom, Zoom meeting too.
So
Yeah, I would like to see it done virtually on the date that it should be.
Mhm.
I don't think postponing it accomplishes anything, because I
Right.
don't think we're going to be any farther along in April than we are in January.
Right, I think so too. And then also, if it is a Zoom, weather does not mean anything. Just we can do it in any weather.
Right.
I think that probably needs to be our first decision, right?
And then also, if we have a speaker on, much easier now, because we don't have to have somebody to come, to a particular place. So we might, sometimes we might be able to get the, person. Normally it's hard to get because of transportation and
Mhm.
the cost and things like that.
I don't know if this is something that may interest you, but other organizations have partnered with, for example, WBGU or WTOL to create a video that video is released on the day that you wish. That may be something to think about as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. I know that's what a lot of what we're doing in the school is we'll put together a virtual pep rally or something, and then it can be pushed out for people to watch whenever. You don't have to be there live to watch it.
What I would recommend is, maybe Emily, Ellie, and David get on a phone call sometime very soon to start fleshing out some of this, for the greater commission, and then start working in detail.
And
How-
I think
Go ahead.
anybody else who wants to be on the planning committee too, I think is important.
How did,
I would like to be in the planning committee for the MLK event.
Okay, good.
I can help. I cannot be the main person, but I'll be happy to help if it's on the Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, you need to keep it under a majority, otherwise you have a quorum. So my recommendation to you is to keep it very small.
You mean a small in size, the audience?
The planning committee.
Oh, planning.
the
committee.
planning?
Yeah, that's true. If we have to meet the committee has to meet in person, I cannot do it. I just cannot, meet in the crowd right now. So I'm really taking care of, this. But if it is on the Zoom, I will be able to.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think we're all agreeing that there's a virtual version of this on the actual day, which is, I guess I didn't look it up, Monday, January 19th. And then we'll get the planning committee together soon. I think before the end of November, we need really truly do need to get started on this.
Emily, the date is January 18th.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
はい、元気です。お元気ですか？
元気です。ありがとう。Are you ready for the test today?
はい。
頑張って。Good luck.
Are there suggestions for speakers from the group? Anybody have any ideas?
Come to the auction.
If we go that route?
Sorry about it. Just class is going.
Okay, I guess not.
We are
Sorry.
doing, if we do a virtual event, I believe we can maybe have a little bit more flexibility. I know with WBGU, they can actually add someone on Zoom and have them be a part of the event. If we were going to do it like at their studio or something like that. But we can have a little bit more flexibility with that.
Okay. Any suggestions for speakers is what my question was, and just seeing if anybody had any, and if you can't think of anybody right now, you can always email them to Dave. But we really are at the point where we have to invite, because you know, it's just only 2 months away, and that's not a lot of time to plan to create a really good event, which is what we want to do. So if you have any ideas for, or, you know, suggestions for speakers or how the event should go, please be sure to email Dave.
Is there a budget for a speaker that we have?
That's a good question. Yeah. Do we?
I believe that would change a little the dynamic. It just change the dynamic of the type of speaker we could reach for. Obviously, we could reach for someone a little bit locally, more locally. That'd be cheaper, maybe. So.
We normally spend like a lot of money on like food and like waters and stuff for the event, and like the magicals for singers, or like I think we have spent a little bit of money on a speaker before. So I think with like out the cost of a lot of that, we should be able to afford someone.
Yeah, I think so too, because this is the Zoom time. So, you know, even though far away, we don't need to, you know, kind of spend for the transportation. So this is the good year to have somebody, you know, normally hard to, you know, get to, you know, come here.
Normally the food and drink is about $140. You normally provide, and I think it's up to $200 for the speaker. The last speaker did not take that though. So you have, I guess, some money.
All right, that's good to know.
Yeah, if you look at the budget that Kelly sent out, I think it's all from the MLK event. So you can see where the money was spent last year.
And then if we go the route of WBGU and a video, there may be a cost there. I don't know what their charge is for that. So I know when Not in Our Town partnered with WBGU to make a video last year for the interfaith breakfast, there was a charge. So just something to keep in mind.
But what you would spend on the cookies and the program or the coffee, et cetera, you know, it could be offset by that cost.
So if we do it on the Zoom, you know, beside the speaker, what do we need? Then we can kind of come up with the rest of it, you know, whatever we can, you know, spend, and then a minus whatever the cost we need for the Zoom, and then the rest can go into the speaker if we need to.
That's a good point. And maybe the only other thing would be promotion. And I know it's always a packed event, so it draws a lot of people, at least in the library in the past. But in a virtual event, the promotion, obviously social media, there's really no cost there. But if we print something, that may be a cost. Just I'm throwing out some ideas there, just things to consider.
I think it'd be nice to have some music if that's possible, whether it's Sheila or someone else.
Oh yeah.
I know several Black artists who would maybe be interested to perform during that. The Voices at
The
BGSU,
Voices. Yeah.
they're also an excellent organization who would love to perform at MLK event. They perform all spirituals, and so they would love to perform.
Great.
They are amazing. It would be so wonderful to have them perform. I think they do an amazing job. Do you have, somebody there, Anthony, that you could invite?
So that is nice. There's some group, one group from the university, and then a group from, Madrigal, or from high school.
Mhm.
So that the kind of core sort of balanced, young people, but in college and then high school, representing, the whole young people.
I agree. I think that'd be fabulous.
Yeah, to answer your question, Emily, the director of Voices is actually a part of Brave.
I was kind of just making a joke. I
Oh
really,
yeah.
because you perform with them, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm also a part of
yeah. But you guys do an amazing job, so I think
you.
it'd be fabulous to have you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it sounds like we've kind of got a starting point for MLK, if anyone else has anything to add. If not, so David said that he doesn't have a chair report at this time. So Emily, if you want to kind of talk about what NIAT's been doing or update on the book club.
Yeah. So just real quickly, we had an event that was designed to create networks of support, and various groups both on the campus and in the community were invited to attend, so that we could, the idea was to create this network of support so we could respond locally to rising hate and any conflict that might be around the election. Mayor Osbacher was there, President Rogers was there, and various leaders of, community leaders attended. And we had a really, I think, a really dynamic conversation about it, about this idea of, how do we keep people safe? And again, feeling welcome and feeling included in Bowling Green. This is going to be something that we're going to be working at for a while. And I think Anthony mentioned it earlier in our conversation that we still have a lot of work to do in Bowling Green. And that if we create identify a plan of approach, and it's multifaceted, and through a variety of groups that are all making intentional effort with action to help create a safe and inclusive environment here in Bowling Green. So that's what Not in Our Town was working on most recently. We're going to continue those. We're probably going to do them at least for a year or more based on need. And of course, we also, Not in Our Town has a community partners where, we invite people to come, members of, groups to come and speak at Not in Our Town, because the idea there is that we're creating community. And the more opportunity we have to talk with each other, to network, to learn about what's happening in other people's lives, is a really positive way to reduce the amount of discomfort that people feel in Bowling Green. I think we have to all be realistic and truthful about the fact that what one person experiences in Bowling Green, another person has absolutely no reality about. That's a fact. And how do we bridge that gap? How do we help people understand that one person's experience really truly is their experience? We can't deny it. It's real. It's true. And, while another person may live in their life and not ever experience that, I recognize that my level of privilege, I was listening to these students speak about their daily experiences, being called names, being stared at, being shouted at, racial, Anthony mentioned Chris's experience in Bowling Green. Those are real. We cannot deny that. And how do we help people understand that? How do we get more people to recognize and accept that? I think that's really got to be our approach. It's celebrating cultures is one way to do that too, is to help to increase awareness about the beauty of diversity. I think I'm kind of talking now because this is really on my mind and fresh in my heart. This election that we experienced this past week keeps it on my mind for sure too.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Emily, for that. I guess an additive to that will be for us to eventually start to investigate, what is it about Bowling Green that makes people feel comfortable saying racist remarks to Black people? Even if there is the sentiment of these hate remarks coming from people outside of this community, why do they feel comfortable coming here in this community and then displaying their hate of another person? What is it about BG that makes people feel comfortable, and how can we, as people of influence in the community, help to mend that gap? Help to make racist people uncomfortable in the community.
Yeah.
What could we do to kind of change our focus a little bit?
Yeah. And I think when we talk about inclusion, we're talking about not only, it's all encompassing. It's about, it's about racism. It's about, people feeling safe to practice their religion, to walk in this town without fear of retribution. I work with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and they are begging to be at the table. But they're not always welcome and included either. That's diversity, that's inclusion, and that's really what we have to address and make it so that it is an awareness that everybody in this town has. I think one way to start with that is biases, is to help people, create opportunities for learning about our own biases, because we all have them, and our biases influence our actions, whether it's our thoughts, the words we say, and the way we act. So I think that's a fabulous place to start right now, actually, is opportunities for learning about our biases and how they influence what we do and how we think and what we say. That's just my 2 cents. But so I'm just going to lead right into the community reads, because I think there's another great opportunity. It's a wonderful, safe way for people to come together, reading a really piece of compelling literature with talented and trained facilitators to moderate conversation, so that people feel we're going to have a shared experience with this piece of literature, and people are going to be able to ask questions and share their feelings and share their thoughts and their experiences. So we now have close to 70 people registered. So that's pretty exciting. I wasn't sure exactly what our response was going to be, but it starts Monday. And so there's still chance. If you haven't had a chance to register, please do, or share it with your network and your friends and your family. For example, here's a really cool thing. We have a whole office of employees has registered to take their lunch hour, and they're all going to be reading the book together and participating in the noon session with conversation and discussion. That I thought that was a pretty cool idea that they've decided to do. So I can send out the flyer if anybody's interested. I can send it one more time if you want to promote it one more time. You know, Anthony, I did want to talk about this because I think it's really important for this group. I don't know, I'm just going to bring it up because I sensed it earlier in the conversation when Anthony was sharing. There was a really, maybe the best word to describe it was this awkward lull in conversation and nobody said anything. That is absolutely okay. That has to be okay. We have to feel uncomfortable. I'm not saying that what Anthony was sharing real life experiences and the rest of us were listening respectfully, and then we didn't say anything, and that's okay. But whatever we're feeling at that moment, you know, that's part of how we get past that discomfort, is being able to share. And it has to happen in this group. This is our chance to get together and share really honestly what's coming in from our heart, as Anthony was doing. And we owe that to Anthony. We owe that to this group. We owe that to people who are in our lives, is to be able to be open and honest and be able to be a part of an uncomfortable situation or uncomfortable conversation. Whatever that is, it's got to be okay. And to feel safe.
You know, yeah, Emily, you know, one of my stocks, you know, I guess my stock in all of this is just bringing the concerns of my community up, you know, because I do realize that oftentimes in majority white communities like this, you know, it never really gets to a Human Relations Commission, or our concerns, our fears, you know, the things that we face daily. Those things never really reach the local government in like majority, you know, white towns like BG, you know. And so I want to always bring those concerns up and amplify the voice of my community, because, you know, I believe that we matter,
yeah.
You know, and we are, and in order for us to be a part of the community and not just a part of the population, these type of things like have to, you know, unfortunately, like be talked about, be wrestled. And so we can start making some type of progress in this area, especially.
Mm-hmm. You know, Anthony, is this one of the young ladies that was with in our network of support, you know, shared her experiences in Bowling Green, person of color. And she described herself as an anomaly in Bowling Green. I was really taken aback by that. But it's her reality, and it broke my heart, quite honestly, because as I said, as a person of privilege, I don't have those same experiences, but I can have empathy and compassion for what someone else experiences, and it can motivate me to do something. I think that's the message we've got to get to Bowling Green. When we consider the demographics of 98% white, it's very likely they have not had experiences with the same experiences that people of color have. That's where we can start. And these are people who are willing to learn and able to learn and want to learn. So if we provide the opportunity, and those people who want to come forward those are the people we want to reach. That's what's going to make change in Bowling Green. But it's about all of us, you know, not just talking with our friends who are, you know, people of color. It's talking to our white friends and helping to break down any kind of misunderstandings that they may have and encourage them in their willingness to learn and walk a mile in someone else's shoes. That's a phrase that we were raised with. I don't know if it's very prevalent nowadays. I'm kind of just talking here, you guys.
No, I mean, I think that's good. You know, a big part of that, I think, for us as an HRC is like educating ourselves too. And, you know, another reason why I like tell you guys experiences of like from my community is so you guys can be educated, so you can just simply know what's going on. Because I mean, I'm completely aware that my community doesn't communicate, with the police. And so, my stock is, how do I bridge that gap of comfortability, right? Where is the, how do we mend that gap where people of color just automatically, instead of report to me and, tell me that they don't feel comfortable with this thing or that thing happen, how do we help them feel more comfortable to go to the police, and so that's, and also, I guess in being more effective, like I mentioned earlier, is kind of limiting the resources or the comfortability of like racist people in town. It's like, why do they feel so comfortable to come here and just do and just say like these racist things, and to call people, at car shops, the N-word twice. Why do they feel that comfortable here? They should not, because I don't believe that, anyone, that's in this call will stand for that. Right. So how do we communicate that message of solidarity in an effective way? And so they begin to be the ones that are uncomfortable.
Yeah. That people feel emboldened to do that now is very true. But how do we, those people who are seeing this happen, how do we help them, encourage them, and feel strong enough to step up and say something? And Adam shared a beautiful story yesterday at our Not in Our Town meeting about his experience with several of his, the BG Police Department went out to eat, and they were in Waffle House. He did make a little joke about why we chose Waffle House, but they were in Waffle House. It was late in the night, and some 20-somethings were sitting near them and just harassed them the whole entire time they were having a meal. I'm just paraphrasing. Adam told a beautiful story, but then they just kind of endure it and continued with their meal. But he was really, it was really wonderful. The next part of the story, it has a good ending. Another group of 20-somethings sitting at an adjacent table came over to the group that was harassing the policeman and told them to knock it off. That's the beauty of all of us. And when we see something that's wrong, we need to be okay to say something. How do we create that? The people used to do that, I think. I don't know that it's happening as much anymore, because really honestly, maybe people don't feel safe when they step forward. That bystander, what is it? How do I handle it when I'm a bystander so that I don't put myself at risk, Anyway, I love the story that Adam shared, and that's who we need to reach. Those people are willing to step forward and say something when they see something wrong.
Since you mentioned Adam, I would like to kind of go back to the discussion about a joint statement about the current events in the country. Who is, I'm afraid it's just going to get dropped if we don't make a little bit better plan for this or put someone in charge of it. Anthony, was that something you were going to do with the police officer, or how is this? Oops, sorry.
Yeah, when I spoke to Adam,
Okay.
I simply just told him what I told you guys in the beginning of part of our meeting, and he said that he found it appropriate, to release a statement as a police force against any type of retaliation, no matter who wins, right?
Right.
Against like the community of color in town. So I don't know what that statement looks like. That obviously will be up to the police department and Adam and whatever they feel comfortable releasing. But I also am not sure if that could be something that maybe the HRC jointly makes a statement. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going with.
Yeah, that's I don't know if that's possible. Justin, you may be able to speak towards that a little bit. But
well, as a police department, obviously we can make. It would be good if it was a joint statement with HRC, just as it relates to, discrimination, retaliation. Those things aren't acceptable. But it would be a general, unless we have a specific incident that we can corroborate, like we have a witness or a victim or something like that. We couldn't comment on something specific. Like you said, that those individuals saw, somebody walking down the street with a gun. Well, in that circumstance, unless they were threatened in some way, that's really not an incident. I'm not disputing that they felt that way. I can't say whether, how they felt. I wasn't there. But we have to look at everyone in the community. And as a community member, if they were from the community that had the gun, that were open carrying, they aren't violating any law. So you kind of following what I'm saying? It would have to be more of a general statement than anything specific to those incidents, because the information I'm getting from you came from somebody else, which I'm assuming that was the person that was there, but we can't put out statements about things that aren't corroborated. It would be irresponsible as a police division. Now we can put out a general statement in conjunction with HRC to say, retaliation won't be tolerated. There's laws, and we could even get technical and say what laws there are. See, in Ohio actually doesn't have a voter intimidation law. They have other laws. It's in the 3500 section, I believe, of the ORC that address, like, basically, if you're harassing somebody in line, you can't be within 10 feet of them. You can't be within the 100 feet of the voting site, things of that nature. But they don't actually have a law specific for voter intimidation. So, and like I said, we didn't have any incidents. We work with the election ear, so to speak, the person that's in charge of each election site, the election officials, and we work hand in hand with them if we do have problems. I can remember maybe 10 years ago, we had an issue with people, wanting to put signs closer than what they should have. That's kind of common, honestly, from both sides. You have people out there saying wearing a shirt that's not appropriate because you're actually not allowed to wear anything on you, buttons, anything like that when you're inside within that 100 feet, technically. But just to kind of show you the law, that would be something that we need to go to the legislation, and that'd be a state legislative type issue if they want to make those laws more robust, so to speak. But there are laws on the books that do address your basic stuff. The police department has no problem partnering with HRC to put out a general statement. I guess I would entertain from you guys what are we talking about? Are we talking about a general statement of, unfortunately, sometimes people are just, I won't say what I want to say, but I'll say jerks to each other. They are. And there are people in this community that flat out they're racist. Now whether, they said that comment to your buddy Chris and stuff like that, is it inappropriate? Yeah, it's inappropriate. Frankly, they should be punched in the mouth for it, but those could technically be considered, fighting words. However, is it illegal? No. I don't agree with it. So I can't put out a statement saying, don't be mean to each other. I tell my children that all the time. Yeah. But so I guess I kind of want some insight from the group as to what you think would be an appropriate statement. And I think it should go and be with HRC or a group like that. You following what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, 100%, man. I really appreciate that. And I actually agree. Even when they're telling me these events, I'm obviously aware of the law. And so I recognize that there wouldn't be anything that you guys would be able to do as far as arresting anybody or citing someone for those things because, frankly, they could do it. You know what I mean? There's nothing really stopping them from doing it. You know, my big thing was how do we keep them from being so comfortable doing it like in town, right? Like, do they feel like that they have backup? Do they feel like they're supported by some type of structure in town? You know, what is it? You know, I wish they were sitting here in front of me. But as far as the statement, you know, I do agree that something general will work, right? I agree that, you know, it could be general, but also a little bit specific as to the election, you know, as to specific fears that the community of color is experiencing right now, which is retaliation, right? I mean, I could, you know, Justin, I might send you screenshots of people, you know, saying that they're not going out, that they're not, you know, they're not staying out at nighttime. You know what I mean? They're not going to the bars. They're not going to Walmart. They're not doing this. Please be safe. Please be with another person. You know, please watch your back this week. You know, like these type of things, you know, we're frequently in the community, it feels like we're always watching our back and, you know, something's going to happen. And it's really a heightened level of, you know, anxiety. And so I think a general, you know, statement, but specific to that emotion, specific to, you know, what we're afraid of generally, would be something that's effective.
Okay, it kind of gives me an idea. You said, did you talk to Dave about this, Anthony, or did you send him an email? Was Dave aware of this? Because you said you kind of talked to Adam about it, so.
Right, yeah. I haven't spoken to Dave. Me and Adam just like talked late one night, late last night, just about this. I haven't reached out to David Anderson, I believe.
Anderson, yeah.
David Anderson, yeah, I have not reached out to him yet.
Okay.
If it's going to include anything about the outcome of the election, this needs to happen sooner rather than later, because I think this is going to come to a head here over the weekend.
Yeah, as it relates to any type of politics, the PD will be
Yeah.
We can't.
Right, but I mean, just, you know, stay calm. Yeah.
You know, we're all Americans. Everyone has a right to vote without being afraid to cast their vote. And that's what our whole democracy is based upon. But I see
something like that will be perfect. You know what I mean?
Right.
None of us deserve to feel threatened, and you guys absolutely don't stand with any retaliation, no matter who wins, and you guys won't accept it. You won't tolerate it. It won't be tolerated in town by any any level of local government. And you know, just you guys don't stand with that. You know, I think you guys posting that or creating that, and then like me sharing it with my community, you know, I think that could potentially, you know, go you know, it could potentially mend the gap a little bit. So.
Okay, well, we are approaching 9 o'clock. I think we're at a pretty good stopping place. So if anyone has anything else, if not, do I have a motion? Or
motion to adjourn.
okay.
Who was that?
Justin.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I can second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
All right. Nice to see you all.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.